California is introducing a new bill that will allow normal citizens to go after gun makers in the same way Texas lets them target abortion providers.
At a news conference on Friday, Governor Gavin Newsom announced he is backing legislation that would allow private citizens to enforce the state's ban on assault weapons. It's modeled after the Texas law that lets private citizens enforce that state's ban on abortions once a fetal heartbeat is detected.
If Texas can use a law to ban a woman's right to choose and to put her health at risk, we will use that same law to save lives and improve the health and safety of the people in the state of California, allowing you to enforce the illegal sales and manufacturing of weapons of war and assault rifles and ghost guns.
By modeling the bill after the new Texas abortion law, Newsom argues that the Supreme Court will have to uphold this California law if it is challenged in court. The bill has not been filed yet, but the Associated Press reported the bill would let people seek a court order to stop the spread of these weapons. Individuals could also recover up to $10,000 in damages for each weapon, plus attorney's fees. For decades, California has banned the manufacture and sale of assault weapons. But last year, a federal judge overturned that ban. The law is still in place while the state appeals the decision. Newsom said he looks forward to signing the legislation shortly.
Fentanyl overdoses are on the rise. One district attorney in Southern California says selling fentanyl should be charged as homicide.
Michael Hestrin, a district attorney in Riverside County, told California Insider he wants to prosecute fentanyl dealers with murder.
It's well established in California appellate law, in California law, and that's the theory that we're proceeding under, that somebody gave or sold fentanyl knowing it was incredibly dangerous, understanding the dangers, and then chose to disregard the dangers and did it anyway.
Hestrin said the idea came about after a young woman died of fentanyl poisoning 2 years ago. Her father went to Hestrin and asked him why this isn't considered murder and why the person who sold it to her can't be held accountable for killing his daughter.
At that time, we started looking into exactly what had happened, and we began to, at the same time, what we saw was a really a marked increase in the number of fentanyl deaths in Riverside County. So between 2015 and 2020, there was an 800% increase in the number of deaths just in our county.
After that, his office launched a fentanyl awareness campaign and education campaign for youth. Unlike most other common illicit drugs, which are derived from natural means, fentanyl is entirely produced in the lab.
2 milligrams of fentanyl can cause death. There are 5,000 milligrams in a teaspoon of fentanyl. So we're finding on the streets kilos of pure fentanyl.
Hestrin says the drug dealers see it as business to profit from without consequences.
I want to get the drug dealers to think to themselves, in Riverside County, if I deal fentanyl, I could go to prison for the rest of my life. And that's what I'm after, because I want them to stop.
Hestrin has 10 defendants and 9 cases so far. Other district attorneys' counties nearby are taking a similar approach. He warns people to never take any pills not prescribed by a doctor. According to the CDC, fentanyl is mixed with heroin, cocaine, or methamphetamine and then turned into pills that are made to resemble other prescription opioids. It is 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. It is a major contributor to fatal and non-fatal overdoses in the U.S.
To hear the full conversation, visit California Insider and the Epoch Times, Epoch TV, or YouTube. A former employee of a Southern California baseball team was found guilty of selling a player drugs that led to the player's death. He will be sentenced in Texas, where the player lost his life.
A former communications director with the Anaheim Angels was convicted on February 17th for selling drugs to players on the team. Eric Kay's sale of the drugs resulted in the death of Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs after overdosing on an oxycodone pill laced with fentanyl. A Texas court will sentence Kay in June. He could face at least 20 years in prison. Skaggs was found dead in his home in Texas in July 2019. The Angels were set to play the Rangers at that time. Prosecutors argued that during the trial, Kay distributed drugs to multiple players for several years. 5 former players for the Angels testified against Kay during the trial, saying they received narcotics from him. Last year, Skaggs' family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Kay as well as the team. They alleged that the Angels should have known K was dealing drugs to players. But the team hired a former federal prosecutor to conduct an internal investigation, which found that no one in team management was aware of any employee providing opioids to any player.
The University of California, Berkeley campus's enrollment is now limited after losing a court case about overcrowding in the city of Berkeley. The school that makes the city famous must lower its incoming classes.
UC Berkeley may be cutting its incoming student body by about 1/3 this coming fall. The university announced on February 14th that it will have to cut just over 3,000 spots for incoming undergraduates. A February 10th court order requires Berkeley to reduce its admission levels to what they were several years ago. The university wrote that it would have a devastating impact on potential students. About 5,000 less admission letters will be sent out. The court order came after community group Save Berkeley's Neighborhoods filed a lawsuit saying the university's growing enrollment is harming the city. The group's website says long-term residents have been forced out of their neighborhoods. The president of the group said the high enrollment leads to displacement of lower-income renters, homelessness, and poorer environmental quality in the city. Students applying to Berkeley feel differently about the ruling. One prospective student who says she dreamed of attending Berkeley said, "I honestly have no words other than my dream school has now been pushed further out of reach."
A former firefighter has been helping homeless people in San Francisco as a street medic. NTD's David Lam reports.
Cooper Arona used to be a firefighter. She was injured on the job and now lives with disabilities in San Francisco. She receives a small monthly disability check and has been a street medic who helps homeless people who need medical attention. In her experience, she has come across a few people that refuse to get off the streets.
Being unhoused and on the street, getting money for free that's neat for you, then that's kind of a sad way of living, you know. So I keep it straight up and honest.
The homeless across the city know her because she cares for them and does outreach. Arona told NTD she travels the streets at night to help others. As a former firefighter, she uses her skills to help others who don't seek medical help from hospitals for a variety of reasons.
I try to give people resources and things where they can grow and become better members of our society.
Arona has been in a few documentaries telling her story. The state has an ongoing homeless crisis, and it only got worse during the pandemic. On Wednesday, Newsom announced that the state will spend over $116 million for 7 new home key projects. David Lam, NTD News, San Francisco.
In Glendale, a man was arrested 3 times within a span of 16 hours, according to the Glendale Police Department. Early Sunday morning, James Landon was booked for suspicion of obstruction after running from police. He was released to appear in court later. At 9:30 a.m., he was arrested for trespassing at a business. He was trying to get into a closed-off area with a screwdriver. He was then released on Los Angeles County's $0 bail policy. Finally, at 7 p.m., Landon broke into an apartment. He was arrested a 3rd time after a standoff with the police.